There comes a time in every life when the skies grow dark, when the winds howl loud and the rains pour heavy on the soul. There comes a moment when it feels like the heavens themselves have turned their face, when the world seems too heavy to hold, when the path ahead disappears in the midst of uncertainty. But I've come to tell you today, that storm, that very storm, was not meant to break you. That storm was sent to strengthen you. We were not promised clear skies and smooth roads. We were not promised sunlight without shadow. We were not promised a life without storms. But we were promised that there would be strength inside us, enough to face the winds, enough to withstand the flood, enough to rise again and again, no matter how fierce the storm may be, because storms don't come to destroy purpose. They come to reveal it. There are some lessons that sunshine cannot teach. There are some truths that still waters will never whisper. It takes the storm to show you who you are. It takes the storm to strip away what is false and reveal what is real. It is in the storm that courage is awakened. It is in the storm that endurance is born. It is in the storm that faith becomes more than a word. It becomes your anchor. You may have cried through nights, so long they seemed eternal. You may have questioned your worth, your path, your very purpose. But even in your lowest valley, even in your deepest sorrow, you were being shaped, stretched, strengthened for something greater than you could see. The storm was not your end. It was your beginning. For the oak does not grow tall in calm winds, but in the face of resistance. The roots don't dig deep. When the soil is soft, when the ground is tested by rain and shaken by thunder, you are not weak because you tremble. You are not broken because you bend. You are strong because you rise. You are powerful because you persist. You've been told that pain is punishment, but pain can be preparation. You've been told that the storm is your enemy, but sometimes the storm is your teacher. It is the shaking that wakes you up. It is the breaking that opens you up. It is the storm that says, this is the time to grow. This is the time to rise. This is the time to step into who you were always meant to be. There are some of you who've been walking through storms that nobody else sees. You've smiled on the outside while you've wept within. You've been strong for everyone else while you were breaking in secret. But the storm knows your name. The storm sees your strength, and when it has passed, You will not be the same. You will be better. You will be wiser. You will be stronger. For fire refines gold and storms refine souls. The greater the storm, the deeper the roots. The longer the night, the brighter the dawn. The louder the thunder, the more powerful your roar will become. And once you've passed through a dream, you'll walk with the weight of wisdom. You'll speak with the fire of experience. You'll move with the power that only survivors know. You don't need every answer before you step. You don't need every voice to believe in you. All you need is enough faith to take the next breath, enough strength to take the next step, because the same storm that tries to drown you will be the same storm that lifts you higher. The same wave that knocks you down will be the wave that carries you forward. If you refuse to surrender, you cannot be defeated. The storm has no authority over your destiny. The winds may rise, but they cannot rewrite what was written over your life. The clouds may cover your vision, but they cannot cover your purpose. You were not born to live in fear. You were not born to stay small. You were not born to be silent in the face of the wind. You were born to rise. You were born to stand. You were born to overcome. So let the storm rage. Let the skies darken. Let the winds scream. For the strength that is in you is greater than the storm around you. You carry within you the power of generations, the resilience of those who refuse to bow, the legacy of those who built freedom with broken hands and hopeful hearts. You are more than the pain you've carried. You are more than the doubt you faced. You are more than the storms you've survived. There is something holy about a soul that chooses to stand in the storm. There is something sacred about a heart that still hopes in the dark. And there is something unstoppable about a person who realizes that the storm was not the end of their story. It was the proving ground of their strength. This world may tremble, but your purpose will not. This path may shake, but your promise will not. You may have scars, but scars are proof that you've healed. You may have wounds, but wounds are proof that you're alive. And as long as you're alive, you have something to give. You have something to say. You have something to become. Don't curse the storm. Thank it. Don't run from it. Face it. For on the other side of the storm is the version of you that you've been searching for. The version that knows how to stand. The version that knows how to rise. the version that carries light into every room, the version that knows deep in their bones that no storm can shake what is built on truth. You were not chosen to sink. You were chosen to rise. And not just for yourself, but for those watching you, for those who will find hope in your story, for those who have no idea that your storm is the key to their freedom. When they see you rise, they will remember that they can too. When they hear your voice, they will find theirs. When they witness your strength, they will touch their own, because the storm you survived will become someone else's survival guide. The pain you endured will become someone else's peace. The burden you carried will become someone else's blessing. And the strength you found in the storm will become the torch that lights another soul through their darkness. There is a power sleeping within every man and woman, a quiet fire buried beneath the noise of doubt, fear, and shame. And for a time, the world may succeed in keeping that power silent. It may whisper lies into ears that were made to hear truth. It may bury voices beneath years of rejection. It may chain hearts to the weight of their past. But the moment that soul begins to believe in itself, truly believe, not in what the world says, but in what was placed inside it from the beginning, then that soul becomes the most dangerous force in the world, because a soul awakened is a soul unstoppable, a soul that has walked through fire and come out standing, a soul that has tasted rock bottom and yet still chooses to rise, a soul that has been told, you can't, again and again, and yet still says, watch me. That is the kind of power no system can suppress. That is the kind of truth no lie can hide. You see, belief isn't just a feeling. It's a revolution. Belief is the soil where purpose takes root. It is the water that wakes up dry bones. It is the light that breaks the grip of darkness. When a soul believes, the chains fall, not always on the outside, but always on the inside. When a soul believes, fear begins to flee, not because the danger is gone, but because courage has risen to meet it. And it doesn't take fame. It doesn't take fortune. It doesn't take applause or approval. It takes one decision, one choice to stop shrinking, one moment to say, enough of the lies they told me. One act of faith to declare, I was born with purpose, and I'm going to live like it. That single spark can set a life on fire, and that fire can light the world. History does not remember the ones who never doubted. It remembers the ones who doubted and still walked forward. It remembers the ones who were told they were too small, too loud, too quiet, too broken, too different, and still dared to believe they were born to matter. It remembers the ones who stood when it would have been easier to sit, who spoke when silence would have been safe, who marched forward while the world screamed, "Turn back." This world knows how to keep people asleep. It knows how to feed them just enough comfort to quiet the questions, just enough distraction to numb the dreams. But the moment someone sees through the illusion, the moment someone wakes up and says, "There is more to me than what they see," the foundations of everything that kept them bound begin to shake, because they realize that the prison wasn't locked from the outside. It was fear on the inside. And once fear loses its grip, freedom begins to walk tall. That kind of belief doesn't just set one person free. It ignites freedom in others. It becomes contagious. It becomes unstoppable. One soul that believes becomes a mirror, showing others what's possible. A voice that says, "If I can rise, so can you." A light that breaks through the fog of someone else's despair. That's why the world tries so hard to stop people from believing. That's why it fights so violently to convince you that you are less than. Because the enemy doesn't fear your weakness. It fears your awakening. There is something dangerous about a man who's no longer afraid of failure. There is something powerful about a woman who refuses to play small. There is something world shaking about a human being who understands their divine worth. Not because they were told so by the world, but because they heard it from within, because they looked at the ashes of their pain and saw purpose rising, because they felt the weight of their struggle and realized it had forged something unbreakable. This kind of belief cannot be bought. It cannot be faked. It is not loud or arrogant, but steady and undeniable. It doesn't scream, but it doesn't flinch. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't ask for applause. It simply moves, speaks, breathes, and lives like someone who knows the storm cannot stop the sunrise, like someone who understands that even in the silence, they are not alone, like someone who has seen what they are made of and will never forget it. And the world doesn't know what to do with that kind of power. It can't shut it up. It can't buy it out. It can't shame it back into silence, because that soul no longer bows to the fear of rejection. That soul no longer waits for approval. That soul no longer seeks comfort over calling. It rises not because it's easy, because it must. It speaks not to impress, but to inspire. Diamonds are not formed in light. They are born under heat, under pressure, in darkness. So if your path feels heavy, if your journey feels long, if your soul feels tired, know this. It's not because you're weak, but because your purpose is weighty. There will be days you feel forgotten. Days when the wind screams louder than your hope. Days when all you want to do is sit down, turn around, go back. And yet something within you whispers, keep going. That whisper is holy. That whisper is the voice of destiny. That whisper is the echo of every ancestor who climbed before you and made it through. That whisper carries the strength of every soul who refused to settle. The view is not only what you see when you reach the top, it's what you become on the way there. It's the transformation that happens in the climb. You become someone who doesn't fold under pressure, someone who doesn't give up just because it got hard, someone who carries scars not with shame but with pride, because every scar tells a story, and every story is a step in the climb. The view is found not just in reaching a goal, but in realizing who you had to become to reach it. You learn how to be patient in the climb. You learn how to listen, how to trust, how to breathe even when the air is thin. You learn that sometimes standing still is progress, and sometimes falling to your knees is not defeat, but surrender. You learn to lean not on your strength, but on the grace that holds you when your strength fails. You learn that power doesn't always shout. It sometimes whispers in the quiet moments of resilience. The climb teaches you how to lose and keep moving, how to be misunderstood and stay kind, how to be unseen and still shine, how to love when love is not returned, how to give when you have little, how to fight for peace in a world that profits from division. It teaches you how to believe in a future you can't yet see, how to trust a process that doesn't always make sense, and how to walk by faith when your eyes are full of tears. You won't always be applauded for the climb. The world loves the summit, but it often ignores the journey. Don't wait for the world to notice. Don't wait for validation. The mountain doesn't care who's watching. It just asks, will you climb? The reward isn't in the recognition. The reward is in the quiet knowledge that you kept going, that you pushed through what tried to break you, that you didn't quit when it got heavy, that you trusted that something sacred was waiting for you on the other side. And when you finally reach that place, when your lungs burn from the effort, when your feet ache from the steps, when your heart pounds with both exhaustion and triumph, you'll look out and understand why it had to be this way. You'll understand why the path was steep, why the nights were long, why the tears had to fall. You'll see with new eyes. You'll feel with a deeper soul, because the climb didn't just get you to the view. It gave you the strength to hold it. It gave you the wisdom to handle it. It gave you the humility to know it was never about just reaching the top, but about becoming the person who could stand there with grace